14 new coaches in the Power 5 for 2022. Who are the best? Welcome to the Voice of College Football. Best discussion, debate, and analysis in college football because of your contribution. Please like the video. Share these videos out on social media. You enjoy the content. Others will as well. Subscribe right here at the Voice of College Football in our 25 team channels. All right, I have received my request and my marching orders from the Real MVP 24. Worst to best coaching hires for 2022. All right, let's keep in mind that I don't consider any of these coaches to be bad coaches, but somebody's got to be number 14, 13, 12, and so forth. Also, let's consider that I'm not just ranking the coaches themselves, but who do they replace? Is it an upgrade? Is it possibly a downgrade? And of course, for a number of these coaches, they have never been head coaches at this level before. So this is a projection and a on-the-spot look based on their coaching ability, who they replaced, and the fit for that program. All right, at number 14, we've got Joey McGuire, Texas Tech, replacing Matt Wells, who coached 8 games at 5-3 in 2021 before he was dismissed. Joey McGuire was last a head coach at Cedar Hill High School in Texas. 14 years, 3 state championships. That's mighty impressive, but that was high school football. What has he done to earn a Power 5 head coaching job? He's never coached at the Group of 5 level. I don't think a whole lot. He was the Baylor tight ends and outside linebackers coach for the past 5 seasons, most recently under Dave Aranda. Of course, the defense at Baylor has been upgraded significantly. He has obviously played a role in that. He obviously impressed Texas Tech, but what has he done to be the head coach? I think very little compared to the other candidates. At number 14, Joey McGuire, Texas Tech. At number 13, we go out to Virginia and Tony Elliott, who led a marginal Clemson offense this past season with DJ Uiagalelei at quarterback and a porous offensive line. Tony Elliott criticized for his play calling at Clemson, but he has earned the head coaching experience and now the role there in replacing Bronco Mendenhall. So this is a key to this ranking right here. I have the utmost respect for Bronco Mendenhall. Did a tremendous job at BYU, winning consistently there. Then he goes to Virginia, takes over an awful program, makes it respectable, wins a division title, gets to the ACC championship game. So Tony Elliott from Bronco Mendenhall, a downgrade for the Virginia program. At Clemson, he's been there since 2011, offensive coordinator since 2015. Of course, they enjoyed a ton of success with Trevor Lawrence and Deshaun Watson at quarterback. Tony Elliott now is the guy at Virginia. He's saying all the right things, of course. We will see how it plays out. At 13, Tony Elliott, Virginia. At number 12, we stay in the ACC and go to Duke. So difficult to win at Duke. David Cutcliffe was able to do that. The first half of his tenure, it took him a long time to get Duke to respectability. Then, over the next several years, he got Duke to an ACC championship game in 2013, a 10-3 record. His next 4 or 5 seasons, bowl appearances, 8-5 type seasons, strong football program at that point at Duke. But in recent years, off the cliff at Duke, 4-22 in the ACC in the past 3 seasons, 10-25. So Mike Elko, new energy, new approach, comes in as most recently defensive coordinator for strong defenses at Notre Dame and also Texas A&M. Number 9 and number 21 in the country the last 2 years at Texas A&M. Also worked under Dave Clawson for 12 years. That's got to pay off and rub off on one Mike Elko at Duke, our number 12 selection, Elko at Duke. At number 11, we go out to Washington. Jimmy Lake was a disaster on the field and off the field and taking over for the legendary Chris Peterson. Kalen DeBoer takes over at Washington. 12-6 at Fresno State in 2 seasons. Known for his offensive mind. Has a great reputation as an offensive guy. And Washington needs it desperately. They had one of the worst offenses in college football the past 2 seasons. Kalen DeBoer led Indiana to a second-ranked offense in the Big Ten in 2020 as offensive coordinator. At number 11, we've got Kalen DeBoer at Washington. For our number 10 selection, we stay in the Pac-12 North Division, and we go to a guy that handled a very difficult situation here in 2021, and it was mighty impressive what he was able to take on. Jake Dickert at Wazoo, taking over for Nick Rolovich, who was dismissed of his job because of disagreement concerning vaccination protocol. And so After 7 games, Jake Dickert took over. He was manning the defense before that, and he did so at Wyoming as well from 2017 through 19. Dickert takes over. All the controversy, everything that's going on, has to replace coaches. Many of the coaches on the coaching staff, not just the head coach Rolovich, but coaches on the coaching staff, dismissed. Dickert takes over. That transition mid-season. They go 3-2 in the regular season. He upgrades the offensive performance. All the offensive numbers increased. All the defensive numbers, all the major metrics, points per game, yards per game, increased on defense as well. He was the defensive coordinator there at Wazoo in 2020. They only played like 4 games, but based on what he was able to accomplish, getting Washington State to a bowl game amidst all that controversy and transition, at number 10, we've got Jake Dickert, Wazoo. At number 9, we go way out back to the ACC and a Virginia Tech situation in which Justin Fuente took over a very stable program. Not a great program, not Frank Beamer's best, not at his peak, but still a top 25 level program. And Justin Fuente deteriorated that program over time. Good opening 2 seasons to Justin Fuente, but losing record the past few seasons. The recruiting went into the tank as well. Brent Pry, his early returns coming in from Penn State have been excellent at Virginia Tech. If you go back to his Penn State contribution there under James Franklin, defensive statistics were top-notch at Penn State. The talent acquisition that he was responsible for on the recruiting trail at Penn State was excellent. The talent acquisition, the development of that talent, Micah Parsons being obviously the prime example, who was just a 5-star beast and still is with the Dallas Cowboys. And then the defensive stats. We're talking points per game. We're talking creating turnovers, sacks, big plays on defense. Brent Pry, even with a change in players from year to year, 2016 through 21, accomplished that at Penn State. The recruiting early returns at Virginia Tech are good. Brent Pry, we've got at number 9, Virginia Tech. At number 8, let's go to the Big 12. And a former Power 5 coach who's coached all over the place. He's got an offensive mind. He's got an offensive pedigree. Sonny Dykes, TCU. All right. Big offensive reputation. Of course, his dad, Spike Dykes, an offensive innovator at Texas Tech. And Sonny Dykes worked for his dad, coached under him from 2000 through 2006. He improved Louisiana Tech considerably, 17-8 their last 2 years after taking a program that was winning 2 and 3 games. Then he goes to Cal. He improved the offense. He inherited Jared Goff, improved the offense, but he could never fix the defense. The defense was one of the worst in the nation, and he had one decent season at 8-5, but overall 19-30 at Cal. Bitter disappointment there. Comes into SMU, takes over a good program from Chad Morris, and basically keeps it going. 10-3, 7-3, and 8-4 the past 3 seasons. Sonny Dykes, TCU, our number 8 selection. On to number 7. And we go to the Great Northwest again, and a lot of coaching transition in the Pac-12. Dan Lanning, Oregon. Of course, Georgia defensive coordinator. Number 1 defense in the country, monsters. So how much of it was the talent, how much the development, how much the coaching? A lot there. You got to acquire the great players, then you have to develop them as players, then you have to give them a scheme and a concept and game plan to help them succeed on game day. But just listen to this guy talk. He is a ball of fire. He's done great on the recruiting trail, maintaining a class despite having the biggest disadvantage of anybody in the country. Consider that while other coaches that were taking over another program had weeks and weeks and weeks, Dan Lanning coached all the way to the national championship game. Of course, he was splitting time and getting in his work at Oregon, but he maintained a class that finished number 3 in the Pac-12, number 25 in the nation. He made some key flips there as well. Number 1 defense in the country, Dan Lanning, excellent hire for Oregon, our number 7 selection. At number 6, we go to Notre Dame. Marcus Freeman has a reputation, rock star. Players love him. We saw the locker scene caught on video in which it was announced that he was the new head coach at Notre Dame. The players went crazy. Okay, that is key. That's important. No question about that. You need the players to buy in. not necessarily like the coach, but to believe in him. Believe what he says, believe in his mission, believe in his competency. I think that's the case at Notre Dame. So Marcus Freeman's a rock star coming in from Cincinnati as defensive coordinator, one season as DC at Notre Dame. But let's consider what he's replacing in Brian Kelly. A lot of people don't like Brian Kelly. No, he didn't win a national championship, but Brian Kelly upgraded Notre Dame football significantly and handed Marcus Freeman a number 4 recruiting class in the country. So, yes, I'm impressed with Marcus Freeman, but let's not downgrade Brian Kelly and what he built. This is the best Notre Dame's been since Lou Holtz, and that's because of Brian Kelly building a program, and their record is, I think, 44-6 in the past 4 seasons at Notre Dame. So Marcus Freeman at number 6, taking over Notre Dame from Brian Kelly. At number 5, we go to Oklahoma, where the sky was falling when Lincoln Riley left, and recruits started to decommit. And some players were thinking about transferring and have transferred. But also Brent Venables is a superior football mind. And basically this program is going to be taking the shape of Brent Venables. Yes, Lincoln Riley had the high-flying offense, developed the quarterbacks, inherited great quarterbacks, or recruited or signed them. Brent Venables, there might be a downgrade on the offensive side, although the Oklahoma offense the last 2 years has not been prolific. It was good, not prolific. Caleb Williams, of course, leaves and goes to USC. We're not going to go through player personnel moves. Dylan Gabriel, of course, the guy now at Oklahoma. But Brent Venables, known for discipline and toughness, something Oklahoma has missed severely in recent years and will need in the SEC. He saved the recruiting class for 2022. He is off to a great start for 2023. Brent Venables, no. He waited for the right job. He wasn't one of these coaches at the assistant level that just went for the first Power 5 job or the first head coaching job anywhere. He turned down Auburn. And Brian Harson's finding out how difficult Auburn is. Brent Venables, that's a top 15 program. Brent Venables turned down Auburn. He was waiting for the right job. Maybe he was only waiting for this job. Brent Venables, excellent hire at number 5. At number 4, we've already mentioned him. He's already taken a beating in social media for the clownish fake Southern accent and then the music video and dancing with the tight end who left and went to Alabama, didn't commit to LSU. That's kind of a bad look, but I am going on sheer results. Brian Kelly knows how to get it done. That's all there is to it. 44-6 at Notre Dame since 2018. It seems like a strange fit, this guy coming from the north who doesn't have that Southern SEC feel to him, but how many other coaches succeeded? Les Miles seems like this Southern guy. Les Miles, University of Michigan, Nick Saban, West Virginia, Kent State from Ohio. We could go down the list of coaches who succeeded in the SEC that weren't SEC guys. And I got to tell you, Brian Kelly, as both a knowledgeable football coach and also a program builder who's going to generally do the right thing and run a clean program, to compare him to Les Miles and Ed Ogeron, the last 2 LSU coaches, is a slam dunk. So Brian Kelly, maybe a bit difficult in some terms of some PR missteps, but excellent hire for LSU. Brian Kelly, number 4. At number 3, we go to Florida. Billy Napier. Does this mean that I think that Billy Napier is a better coach than Brian Kelly? I don't. No. But Dan Mullen, over the last year and a half, was such a disaster at Florida. He had such a good season on the field for the most part in 2020. Man, if he would have told me, beats Georgia, wins the SEC East, gives by some measurements Alabama its most difficult game, the number 1 team, most dominant team in the country. They play him within 6 in the SEC championship game, and then he just blew it. The Cotton Bowl debacle, I'm not going to go through the entire thing because you guys have heard it many times from me, and there are videos posted. You can look them up where I went through all the stupid things that Dan Mullen did at the conclusion of 2020 into 2021. Crashed and burned the program. Billy Napier, for taking over the level of program of Florida, has about as difficult a job in reestablishing recruiting connections, but he is starting. The recruiting on National Signing Day was a bit of a disappointment. He didn't quite get some flips, but he will. He will. He knows how to recruit. And look at Louisiana. 23-2 the last 2 years. 33-5 the last 3 seasons at Louisiana. The guy knows how to win football games. He will get it done in Florida. To what extent? I'm not going to make a projection on that. He's a tougher guy for a program that's become soft. The teams become soft. Florida football is not soft traditionally. Billy Napier at number 3. At number 2, we go to Miami. And again, do I believe Mario Cristobal is a better coach than, let's say, Brent Venables or Brian Kelly, especially Brian Kelly? No. Brian Kelly's a better coach than Mario Cristobal. It's going to have to be proven to me otherwise. But the upgrade and hire from Manny Diaz, who had no business being hired as the head coach at Miami. He was being announced and had started his tenure as the head coach at Temple. That was where he should have been. So he elevates to Miami. They reach for Manny Diaz. It was not a disaster, but he underachieved. Okay, 7-5, 6-7, 8-4. Yeah. Mario Cristobal. Again, I could even go maybe down to Dan Lanning and argue that these coaches below Mario Cristobal are as good or better than he is, but he is needed there. He's a Miami guy. He's going to stay, most likely. I don't know what the future holds, but he is going to stay. He loves the program. He loves to recruit. He can recruit. He showed that. They had the number 38 recruiting class in the nation the day before National Signing Day, and they finished at number 15. He got a ton of guys to flip, big players. That's huge. He is the first. Take Mark Richt, put him aside. I've explained in previous videos and call-in shows why. Put Mark Richt to the side. He's a tremendous coach. He'll be in the College Football Hall of Fame. Okay. Since Butch Davis, Miami has done a horrible job of head coaching hires. Horrible. None of the coaches had success before Miami or after Miami or at Miami. Mario Cristobal is different. Yes, he had his missteps against Utah this year. I am concerned about not being able to inspire or game plan against a team that you got blown out by 38-7 3 weeks earlier. That's not a good look and not a good sign. But every coach has its bad games or bad matchups. For Mario Cristobal, 3 division championships in the Pac-12, 2 Pac-12 championships, a Rose Bowl win over a good Wisconsin team. Shoot, Miami fans, you would just like to be able to beat Wisconsin. You got a guy that's beaten Wisconsin. You've lost to them in 3 bowl games in the last 10 years. At number 2, Mario Cristobal, Miami. And at number 1, he's not necessarily the best coach on the board, but USC needs a rock star. Lincoln Riley at USC. That's our number 1 hire this offseason for 2022. He was a tremendous coach at Oklahoma. Again, USC needs somebody who's going to shake up that sports landscape out there, and Lincoln Riley's a rock star. He's the hire, the splash hire. Yes, that can wear off if he's not the right guy, but we know he can coach. He can game plan. He can develop offenses and quarterbacks and be prolific. And even the defense got better at Oklahoma because he knows how to hire on the defensive side of the ball. He's already raised the recruiting level at USC, of course. He raised the recruiting level from where it was really good at Oklahoma under Bob Stoops. He made it better. There is simply now hope, genuine hope at USC and the Pac-12 because of Lincoln Riley, our number 1 offseason hire in college football for 2022. Your comments down below right here at the Voice of College Football. Please subscribe. Hit that bell for the notifications to know when we go live, which is all the time right here at the Voice of College Football.